welcome back to my channel. Today I'm taking a small detour from the decluttering videos that I've been doing to talk about a book I recently read called New Minimalism. Stick around for the book review because this is one you're going to want to read. If you're new to my channel, my name is Angela and my husband and I have 5 children. We are currently renting a house as we prepare to break ground and build our dream forever house. That is a small cottage that we designed specifically for our family. We should be breaking ground in about 3 months and probably be moved in about 9 months. So I encourage you to stick around on this channel, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you can follow along on this journey with us. This year I set 5 minimalist New Year's goals. And one of them was to look for inspiration and to be inspired. And really the object of this was to find other people who have gone on this minimalism journey and have been successful, and to really just learn from them and to be encouraged by them. And one of the books that I have had on my list to read for a while, it's not a new book but it's one that I have not read, is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. And so before our school went on break for Christmas, we went to the library, all the kids and I, and walking right in the door there was a kiosk of self-help, organize your life type of books. You know, the type of thing that's out before New Year's. And lo and behold, the book I was looking for was right there. And so I grabbed it right away. I felt like that was a major win. And then I noticed another book sitting right next to it, and that was this book. And I thought, well, Christmas break is fairly long. I could probably get through both of them. And so I picked this one up as well, and I'm very glad that I did. I didn't notice until I got home, but the subtitle of the book was also very powerful. It says, Decluttering and Design for Sustainable Intentional Living, and that is exactly what we are doing right now with my family. And so this felt like a perfect match. And so I just want to talk a little bit about what I learned while reading this book. And I do have a blog post that I'm going to link in the description box. If you'd like to check that out, I'll have links on where you can purchase this book and also a little bit more in-depth talk about what the book covers, kind of just like a more summative book review. So first I want to start with the authors. Their names are Cary and Kyle, and at first I thought maybe there were 2 men, but they're actually 2 women. And they met while they were carpooling in California. They got a story about that. On the long drive, they talked about their own personal journeys towards minimalism, and they realized they had a lot in common. And so they decided to keep in touch, and eventually they became friends and they started a home organization business. And they titled the book New Minimalism because that's what their company name is called. They have a blog that I have linked below. They also titled it that way because they want to dispel the myth that minimalism and simplicity means that you need to be sacrificing all the time and to have discomfort. Because that's what a lot of people think of sometimes when they think about minimalism, is just, you know, a cold white room that's got no furniture, it's just crystal clean, and that's really not sustainable for many families, including my own. And so I like this concept of new minimalism that deals with really understanding your own personality and understanding your family's personality and working with that to really create an atmosphere that's sustainable for you. The thing that really struck me about the way the book was written is that it's not a one-size-fits-all type of approach where many organization books are. They'll say, you know, here's your pantry and this is what you should have in it and this is exactly what you should do. And they're assuming in those books that everybody is exactly the same, and that's really just not the case. And so the very first thing that Cary and Kyle lay out in this book is the fact that we're all individuals. And they do that by defining 4 different archetypes. They developed these archetypes because of all the clients that they worked with and all the different personalities that they came in contact with. They began to realize that people would hold on to things based on their own behavior set. And so while one person might have a hard time getting rid of mementos from a trip, somebody else might be fine getting rid of that, but have a hard time getting rid of craft supplies, for example. And so the 4 main archetypes are laid out in the book, and I go into more detail on that in the blog post if you want to check that out. I personally resonated most with the energetic archetype, which essentially means that I'm a creative person and I love the thrill of the start of a project. It also means that it's hard for me sometimes to finish projects because I'm always jumping ahead to the next. Really, the thrill of starting it is what keeps me going, and so I know, because I am that archetype now through reading the book, that I need to work harder on finishing projects, because when I don't, I become overwhelmed and then nothing gets finished, and then it's just a drain on me energy-wise. It also spills over into the social aspect of things, where if somebody asks for my help on something, I'll say, yes, let's do it. And then what happens is they all sort of start piling up on top of one another, and suddenly I'm overwhelmed. And so I not only need to work on decluttering in the physical sense, but also in the social commitment sense, so that I can find a balance that really works best for my own life. So definitely figure out your own personal archetype. If you read this book for nothing else other than that, you will get your time and money worth, because it's just that insightful. The next section of the book deals with the decluttering process itself. And I found it super interesting that the book Tidying Up and the book New Minimalism both recommend to declutter by category rather than room by room. The New Minimalism authors talk about 7 different categories that they declutter with their clients, and just like Marie Kondo, they also recommend that you declutter clothing first. They talk about each category in detail, and they also offer up tips if you are a specific archetype that has a tough time decluttering sentimental items, for example. They have tips and questions you can ask yourself to really help you get through the process, which I think is really great, because we all have different categories and areas in our homes that are more difficult to declutter than others. Through their years working with clients, the authors have come in contact with lots of different cleaning supplies and techniques that their homeowner clients have used. And they have come to find that the more simple approach is actually working better for them. And they've also developed their own little homemade concoctions that help. They've got a recipe in the book for a wood polish, for example. They've got a recipe for window cleaner and an all-purpose cleaner that can be used on floors, toilet bowl cleaners, just different recipes. I think there's 3 different recipes that you can make at home using natural products. I personally haven't tried it yet, but I will be attempting to make these solutions, especially for when we move to our new house, and I want to keep things as natural and toxic free as possible. The last portion of the book talks about their 12 design principles, and they have them all laid out in the book. This is when you're done decluttering and you're working on making your house really your home. And they argue that interior designers many times will talk about having to buy more things and add more things to a room to make it feel comfortable. And they argue that really space is one of the things that is craved by so many people, and that by crowding it up with things, you're really taking away that comfort level that you could have. It's one of the reasons why, and I've seen this a lot in the home design industry, people think they need bigger houses. They think they need giant master bedrooms and giant living rooms because they are thinking about all of the stuff that needs to go in it. And really, I think there's finally becoming a switch back to understanding that there's comfort in smaller, more cozy spaces, but you can't overcrowd those spaces. And so of the 12 design principles that they lay out in their book, one of them that really resonates with me is to define full, to really understand what does full mean to you. Cary and Kyle, the authors of this book, personally define it as when a drawer or closet or cupboard has the items that you need to be in it. They are easily visible and accessible. It's not, this drawer has 5 shirts in it and I can see every shirt. I should put 5 more shirts in it because there's still room. There's still going to be space there, but when they're all visible and easily accessible, it's full. And the other design principle that they wrote in the book that I really thought was great is that you should allow one to stand for many. And essentially what that means is you might not be able to keep all of one type of thing, but you can have something to represent that. Example in the book is that one of the authors has one single photo of her grandmother, and that photo is the memory that stands for all the memories she has with her grandmother. She doesn't have an entire wall filled with photos of her grandmother. She's got the one favorite photo that represents all the memories that she has had. So I know that I will be using that principle a lot, especially when decorating at our new house. And so in conclusion, would I recommend that you read this book? My answer is a resounding yes. Please go to the library and check this book out or buy it online. It is a great book. I have read quite a few organizing books through the years, and I have to say that there has been none that I have seen that really speak to the heart of the person decluttering and not making it a one-size-fits-all approach. And so even though I went to the library to read this book, I am very, very pleased that I also picked up this one, and I think you should too. So if you've already read this book and you want to comment about it and talk about what you've learned, please comment below. I would love to chat about it. I'm really excited about what this means for my own family and our future in decluttering, and also living a more intentional life in the future. So thanks for watching this book review, and I will see you next week. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to this channel or visiting my website, arrowhillcottage.com, for more tips on creating a simple home and living an intentionally simple life.